Hello，大家好 ，Nas County students，我是 Dr. Chen, and I teach Chinese at Hardin Valley Academy. Today's lesson is based on the week 8 assignment for level 1. If you don't have the assignment, it can be found by visiting the Knox County Schools World Language Department website at knoxschools.org. On the World Language Department page, click where it says World Language Student Resources. Notice at the bottom of the learning document for this week or module, you can access additional resources. You must be logged into your Knox County School Google account to access it. Let's get started. 大家好 Today we're going to talk about the grammatical points, the grammar points on lesson 7. It's unlike like I said in previously, unlike the previous lessons that focus on a lot of grammatical points. This lesson is actually I only have 2, but they're not so complicated in a way. So you just need to know how to use how and howma correctly. For example, they both means number, but how do you use it in a sentence? And the second one is how to use the A-Bu-A structure. Okay, I'll explain what the A-Bu-A structure is, but let's look at the first grammar point. Okay, how to use the how and howma. So as you guys know, we previously used how and howma that both mean number in English, but they use it differently. So how so? Now, how, as you know, it's only used in the number, like a number 4, okay? 4号, 3号. So if we're gonna say number 3, you have to say 3号. Okay, 3号. So based on your answers. So for example, you are checking in a hotel with your school, and then you want to know what's your room number, okay? And the room number is actually say number 214. So in that case, you are say 你的房间号码 and then 是 and then what is 多少 and then you have to put a how in there. 你的房间号码是多少号? The reason we actually use a 多少 how in there because when you answer the question and you will say 我的房间号码是 say 213号. Okay, so you replace it. It's actually 213号. So 我的房间号码是213号. However, when you use the cell phone, you do not say, hey, what's your cell phone number? So you say 你的手机号码. Let's say 手机. 你的手机号码是多少? And you do not actually use my cell number is number 223-284. You don't say that. You simply say 你的房间号码是多少? And you do not use how in there. So the bottom line is if your answer is expecting if you were expecting to say, hey, my room number is number 223, although you're not saying number 223, but it's assumed. Okay, so it's assumed number 223. So you do not say out loud, but it's actually assumed there. So you need to put a how in there. Whereas if you use a cell phone number, you do not say number 223 556, and it do not have a long, very long list, string of numbers. That's the main difference. That's the main difference. So if you want to say 你的 what is your school's phone number? Let's say the sentence. What is school's phone number? Okay. In this case, you will say school 学校, right? So you say 学校 is a school. The school's phone number 电话 that's phone. 号码 that's number. 是多少 you do not actually use how in there, mainly because you do not say the school phone number is number this and so. You don't use it. Whereas now keep in mind that 多少 is actually how many, but it's in here. It just means what. Okay, it just means what. When I was learning English, we learned the call idioms. Okay, so I remember very clearly. It's just we call is a piece of cake. Okay, if you say it's a piece of cake, it's not actually means the cake itself. Means it's very easy. Okay, it's not very challenging. So with the same rule, so 多少, although this is how much, how many in there, but you use it in this context. You use it in context is actually means what. Okay, now learning a language is like putting the pieces of puzzles. You just have a big puzzles and smaller one. Some are really obvious, some are really like you cannot tell the difference. So in order to make it work, you just pay a lot of attention to the details. Okay, and this is one of the details. What? Okay, so in order to know what is the difference between how and how ma, you have to say out loud and say often. You say, "Hey, 你的手机号码是多少？" Okay, 你的手机号码是多少？你的房间号码是多少号？Okay, or 你的宿舍号码 your dorm number 是多少号？ That's how you use it to differentiate that how and how ma. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Let's work on another sentence. Let's say, what is your friend's cell phone number? Okay, what's your friend's cell phone number? So you will say 你的 because that's the subject. 你的朋友的手机号码 that's the cell phone number that's attached to it. Okay, so number 号码 is attached to is actually attached to a noun. So cell phone, telephone, okay, dorm, room. Okay, so and then 是多少. Now keep in mind, you do not, when you answer it, you do not say number 223 A65, and you don't say that. So you simply use it. Okay, so you simply use a 多少 in there. Okay, so any questions? I hope not. Okay, so think about this. Okay, think about this. Now, if you use a dorm number, so What is your door number? Because number, when you say dorm, is actually have a number 223, for example. So you actually have to say 你的宿舍号码. Now you always use 号码, and then 是多少. In this case, you will use a how in there. Okay. So why is that? Because the phone number is a very long string of words, while the dorm number it's only 3 digits, for example. So if you use a very small digit, okay, only 3 or 2 digits, you have to use a how in there. Okay, 多少 how. I mean, it refers to it's a very short as a small number to it. If it has an 8 or 9, you do not use it. Okay, you do not use it. Okay, that's number 1, how to use a how and 号码 and the sentence. Now let's look at number 2. What is the ABA structure? Its ABA structure is actually equals to ma in the end. So what does the A stand for? A stands for it's a verb. So verb, not verb. Okay. Now the word not is actually negative. So for example, yo, what's the negative? What's the negative verb? Is actually 没有. So if you put 有没有and then it's actually equals ma in the end. Okay, so for example, if you want to say, are you a student? Now this is a yes no question. So A actually means yes no question. Is actually is a yes no question. So are you a student? So you say 你, right? And what's the verb? 是. And negative? 不是. And then 学生. And in this case, you do not actually add ma to the end because that's using ABA structures. So you put a question mark, that the same thing. So this one is actually the same. 你是学生吗? So this one is actually the same thing as 你是学生吗? So they're the same thing. Okay, so let's look at second sentence. If you want to say, do you have a cell phone? Do you have a cell phone? So what's the subject? 你, right? So 你. The verb is what? 有. And negative is 没有. 你有没有? And then do you or not have what? 手机. And then your sentence ends in here. 你有没有手机? Okay, 你有没有手机? Okay. So 你有没有车? Do you have a car? Now, keep in mind, we do not actually use a measure in here because a lot of times we use it in a question sentence. You don't actually use it the measure word in there. We use a measure word primarily using a statement. Okay, use statement. Okay, so usually is you're gonna use the measure word in there. Okay, so let's say, do you speak Chinese? Do you speak Chinese? Okay, I will let you think about this for just a second, and then I want you to use please write it down with the ma and able a structure, two forms, okay, two ways of using do you speak Chinese. Okay, the first option is what? 你 right? 你说中文吗? So the first option is 你说中文吗? Okay, the second option, able structure is 你 and 说 is the verb. What's the negative? 不说. Okay, and then 中文. Keep in mind, if you use it, able a, you do not use a ma in the end. Okay, and that's it. So there are two grammatical points in here. However, you will need to apply in your daily life. So, for example, you would say, "Hey, 你的爸爸的手机号码是多少？你的妈妈的手机号码是多少？你的妹妹的手机号码是多少？" And then, can you read it, the number? Okay, can you read a number? So, for example, how do you read it? 865-293-3179是865-293-3179 Okay, 865-293-3179 Let's be very proficient with the numbers, okay, for this lesson. Okay, let me know if you have questions. I will see you next time in the next video. 再见，大家再见。大家好。It's sentence structure time again. We are going to look at the sentence structures on lesson 7 and then and review some of the vocab in the previous lessons. Now you're going to use the Quizlet for review the vocab. They're so important. The vocab is the key. So because when you, it's just like in a war, right? So when you try to in the front line, you need to have an ammo. So this is considered an ammo. So without this, there's no way you will survive. Okay, so you're gonna be really proficient on recognizing those characters. Okay, now before we actually start our sentences, let's review some of the vocab in here. So this lesson, now this one is actually 学校, right? 学校 is school, school. This one 电话, 电话. 号码, okay, 号码. How, they both mean number. How about this one? 手机 meaning cell phone. 没有 means don't have or doesn't have. 多少 how much. But in this case, we use it in what. Okay, what is your phone number? What? 房间 meaning room. Okay, room. Okay. 哪儿 we learned that in the last lesson. Okay, this one is always. Now let's look at the first sentence. Where do you live? It's very common question. People are gonna ask you, hey, where do you live? How do you say that? Okay, how do you say that? If you can say it out loud and visualize it, and then the next step you just need to find the characters to it. So let's give you a couple of seconds since it's a very short one. Where do you live? Okay, so subject is what? You. So you live. 你住 subject and verb. And then don't forget where is always goes together with 你住在哪儿？你住在哪儿？ Say more time. 你住在哪儿？你的爸爸住在哪儿？你的哥哥、你的姐姐、你的妹妹住在哪儿？ Okay, so this is it, the first one. Number 2, are you at the dorm? Okay, are you at the dorm? So how do you say the dorm? If you want to be just like me, just write it down or say 你. Okay, 你. And then what's next? Okay, you are at. Are at is what? 你在. Okay, and then 宿舍吗？你在宿舍吗？ Are you at the dorm now? 你在宿舍吗？你在家吗？你在宿舍吗？ Okay, 你在宿舍吗？ So if you want to write this way, that's better. But or you can just move it. Okay, 你在宿舍吗? The reason we actually use the moving, I don't really ask you to write all the characters from memories, maybe because in our AP test we type. Okay, we type. So as long as you know how to say it, and then people assume you know how to write it. Okay, type it. I mean, so that's it's easier in a way. Okay, 你在宿舍吗? Are you at a dorm? Number 3, what is your cell phone number? Okay, the word what is not 什么. Okay, it's not 什么. So okay, now let's look at your answers. Your cell phone number. How do you say your cell phone number? So be 你的. Okay, cell phone, 手机 number, 号码, and then what's the verb? 是, right? And what's next? 什么 or 多少? Yeah, you have to use 多少 in here because, like we said, it actually means what, doesn't mean what, how many or how much. You can think about that way. If it's a 9 number, it's actually a lot of numbers. So we say how much or how many. You can think that way, but that is actually the 多少 actually means what in our plain English. Let's look at next sentence. This lesson, this activity is going to be a little bit shorter compared to the previous ones, mainly because there are not too many grammatical points that we actually need to really focus on, except for the number, that one. Okay, so does your room have a phone? So you're gonna use an ABA structure. Do you still know how to use ABA structures? Okay, what is the ABA structures? Okay, so in our sentences, in a lot of assignments, I'm mainly asking you to write the answer. So it's actually mastery based, like we talked about before. However, at one point for your test, it's gonna be proficiency. No, it's gonna be that your performance. Okay, is your performance based. Okay, your performance based, and then your presentation. It's gonna be your proficiency based. So we actually cover a lot of the requirements in this semester. Okay, so does your room have a phone? If you do not know how to, yeah, go back and redo it and then watch it again, so you will get the idea. Okay, so your room. How do you say your room? So be 你的 okay room. How do you say room? 你的 can I move this one? 你的 and then room 房间 and then 号码 is no, I'm sorry, no, my bad. Does your room have a phone? 你的房间 and verb 有 right? So 有 and what's the negative? 没有 So do not write 不有 No, there's no such thing. So 你的房间有没有电话 and question mark. Okay, we are using ABA structures in here. Okay, let's look at the next one. What is your dorm's room number? Okay, room number is actually a small number. When you use a small number, you need to use what in the end? Okay, so how do you say your dorms? So you say 你的 dorm 宿舍 we have another the in here 你的宿舍的房间 and then 号码 and then what is that's the verb 是 and then 多少 don't forget the word how in here because it's a small number it's not a phone number of all the numbers in here phone number is the only one you don't require this one okay the room number you do not if it's a license plate number you actually need this one because it's very a short one okay a very short one so in this case you're gonna need this one because room number is a very small number okay next one where is my cell phone did you always ask yours like hey where's my cell phone now next time say in Chinese and say in Chinese at your house at your home and talk to your dad even though they don't understand that just say it and then the more you say it the more comfortable you feel hey I can speak it and then you don't actually have to think that twice okay so I'll do that okay I will do that so just say it just okay where's my cell phone okay so how do you say my if you still don't know how to say my you're in big trouble so 我的 and then cell phone 手机 okay where do not simply say where it's actually at where 在哪儿 and question mark that's it 我的手机在哪儿？你的手机在哪儿？你的车在哪儿？Okay, so 你的手机 cell phone. Okay, let's look at next one. Um, the question is, how many cell phones do you have? You come on Monday, you have this, you have white iPhone, and Tuesday you have a red iPhone. So I might ask you, hey, how many cell phones do you have? So how do you say this sentence? Okay, we have how many. So for how many, you're gonna need a measure word. So the cell phone, the measure word is "g". Okay, the measure word is "g". So you're gonna write a "g" in there. We don't have that in here. Okay, so you say 你 okay, 有 you have how many? How do you say how many? 几 and then 个 next one 手机你有几个手机 how many cell do you have 你有几个手机 so how many so you know what you can actually use a 多少 in here assuming you have over 10 so usually 多少 is a lot of number use a 多少 but in most cases they use 有几个 in here okay so I assume you just have 2 or 3 okay okay so this is our listening time for this time you're gonna do the simultaneous translation for me so I'm gonna speak in English and then you're gonna translate for me okay so and if you can do the simultaneous translation it's good to you okay number 1 what is your cell phone number what is your cell phone number do the quick translation okay what is your cell phone number okay now let's look at your answers what is your cell phone number 你的手机号码是多少 I assume people are gonna use a how in there no how should not be there because it's a phone number is a big number okay it's a big number okay next one do you live at school okay do you live at the school I means on campus okay do you live on campus okay at school okay let's look at this as what 你住在 live at 学校吗你住在学校吗 okay next one does your house or wait, let's go back does your room have a telephone does your room have a telephone and I need an able A structure on this one does your room have a cell phone it's able A structure okay does your room have a phone so is what 你的房间 A 不 A 有没有 and then 电话。你的房间有没有电话 ？Don't just know how to put it. Say it. Okay. If you can say it and then you can put it in the right structure. Okay. Now, next one. Do you always work at the school? Our last one. Do you always work at the school? Do you always work at the school? Okay. Now let's look at your sentence. Do you always work at the school? 你常在学校 and then work and ma in the end. Okay. 你常在学校工作吗？你常在学校工作吗？ Now, if you can answer most of the questions and without hesitation and without problems, that tells me that you mastered the lessons pretty well. Okay, so if not, keep working on that. And then at one point, you're gonna need to write those sentences, okay, on your test. Okay, so so keep working on this. Okay, I'll see you next time. 再见。